Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 3 reasons your brand isn't attracting the clients you want yet. I'm Suzanne Tulien, brand clarity expert, author of Brand DNA, consultant, and international speaker. I'm thrilled that you decided to take the time to sit in on this brief brand knowledge session. But most of you know me, so I'm not going to go and bore you with the usual "how did I get here" speech. But you can find out more about my 27 years in the branding business and at Brand Ascension on brandascension.com. So instead, I wanted to honor your time and get right to this brand knowledge session. So let's get started. All right, great. So I first want to clarify what a brand actually is. It's specifically your personal brand, right? Which is simply a perception. It's based on emotion, and it's defined by you first, ideally, then your customer's experience with you, then your products and your services. So knowing that it is just a perception, it really begs the question, how do we as human beings perceive information? How do we take in this information? So we have at least 6 ways that we pick up information that formulate into a set of perceptions through all of our senses, right? So everything we do is actually perceived by someone else. And there is an assigned meaning to that perception from our prospects and clients. So when you really think about it, our brand is really represented in everything we do. So in knowing this, you can see how your brand is not your logo, but rather what your logo actually represents. So think about that for a moment. What does your logo actually represent? And how do you affirm and reaffirm that consistently in everything that you do? So I know most small businesses have not really taken the time to really flesh this detail out in any way that makes it tangible and experiential for your prospects or customers. So without all of that detail, how are you actually able to build that intended perception consistently, which happens to be the only way you can build it in a long-term trust sort of way? So I know that's pretty thought-provoking, but hang on to that concept because it sets the stage for really understanding the power of your personal brand when it is consciously, strategically, and deliberately created. Let's keep moving. So my first question to you then is, do you believe you actually already have a brand right now? So go ahead and answer in the chat, yes or no, or even maybe. Most businesses believe that they have a brand once they have a logo designed, a website created, and maybe some marketing collateral done. But I'm here to tell you, those things are not the ingredients of your brand. So I want to explain. I have some good news and some bad news for all those solopreneurs out there. The good news is that you already have a brand. And now that we understand that your brand is just a perception, then the moment you meet someone, the clock starts ticking in terms of them beginning to collect those perceptions as you begin to really relate to one another. So think about how you talk, how you deliver your services, and follow up. Those are just a few things of the many aspects included in the ever-continuing process of creating and affirming perceptions about you as the brand of your business. So what's the bad news, right? The bad news is that you already have a brand. And so how can that sometimes be the bad news in already having a brand? Well, it may not be the brand perception you want others to have of you. So the real question is are you actually in control of it? The problem most of us have as solo professionals is not consciously, strategically, or deliberately identifying and defining our own personal brand DNA. So this leaves us very vulnerable to become a kind of a chameleon to whatever we believe our customers want from us, right? And want for them. So I'm here to tell you that this is unsustainable, right? It actually dilutes your distinction for competitive advantage. thus becoming a commodity in the minds of your market. So how many of you feel that this is happening to you right now? Just answer in chat. I'm sure there's many of you. So, okay, great. We already have a brand. The problem arises when there is no real understanding of what our brand is or should be. The dilemma that often is that there are more than one perceptions of your brand. So there's this internal perception, and that's meaning that you know how you think you're showing up. You've got this idea in your own mind that you're showing up a certain way. And then there's this external environment, which is your prospects and customers and what they are actually perceiving from your brand. And the good news is that oftentimes there's some overlap. So you're in alignment in this space of overlap. But unfortunately, too often, your internal perceptions of your own brand are quite different than the external perceptions from your prospects and clients. And this creates cognitive dissonance. And your prospects will not buy with that perception. So the secret is to get what you're actually thinking about your brand to show up externally and actually be experienced, right, by those prospects. And this can only be done by cracking your brand DNA code and starting with controlling and managing the overall consistency of the experience your prospects have of you from the inside out, right? So this is what we call brand management, which results in cognitive resonance versus dissonance, right? So I hope this is resonating with all of you. So right now, you might be asking yourself, if I'm not clear on my brand's value position, then how am I actually showing up to my market consistently? This is a great question to start asking. Here are some more fascinating stats that I wanted to share with you before we actually got into those 3 reasons. The good news is that 94% of your customers want to be loyal and want to keep doing business with you. That means they're getting the value they expect and they don't bother looking for another vendor. And some of them are probably referring you, right? So, we're all busy and most of us want to find and stay with someone that we trust, who is actually delivering on their brand promise, right? I know everybody has this kind of same feeling because we just don't have the time. So all of you on this call are really actual customers too. So I know that when you find a great resource, you want to continue to use that resource. Think about maybe your favorite hairstylist. What would it be like to have to change hairstylists every month? That's nuts. So 94% of your customers really want to stay with you because they don't have the time to find somebody else. However, on the flip side of that, the bad news is we as business owners sometimes even subconsciously just give our customers reasons not to be loyal or reasons to become indifferent, let's say, to our products and services. So these could come in the form of our lack of consistency or overpromising and under-delivering or lack of expected communication and so many more nuances that could actually weaken the loyalty factor and enable them to stray or even find another vendor to do business with. So think about those two, the good news and the bad news here. And are you a part of that? So here's another fascinating good news statistics. Did you know that 82% of your customers will pay more for better services and relationships? That's 82% of them. So it's similar to the Pareto rule. Remember the 80-20 rule? So what constitutes better services and relationships, right? The question comes up for us. Sometimes it's as easy as more communication or a smile or calling out their name on a regular basis when they visit your store if you have a retail front. It's really no cost behaviors, and it's an upgrade in terms of their experience of you. But the bad news is that most small business owners tend to discount their prices to bring in more business rather than increase the level of the overall customer experience and distinctive attention. So think about, are you cutting your prices in order to get people in the door versus really looking at how you go about delivering and enhancing the delivery process. So with these compelling statistics, it really begs the question, what can my business brand do to leverage my loyal customers, and increase that perceived value of my pricing while sustaining continuous growth? So I'm about to reveal to you these 3 simple reasons that you aren't possibly getting the clients that you want yet. And then so you can apply them and integrate into any industry business. Okay, so let's get started. So in all of my 27 years plus of experience in researching and working with successful brands and writing my book, I've come across 3 key reasons that have been the common denominators of sabotaging the building and sustaining of brand success. And I want to share these with you right now in a very short but compelling learning session. So let's get right to it. So even though many of us have heard the phrase, we are creatures of habit, for some reason, we lose that within our own businesses. It may be because as solopreneurs, we have to master the multitasking mode, and it makes it so hard for us to stay consistent. But this reason of lack of consistency is really killing our business. So we have to be committed to consistency. And what does that really mean? This is showing up the same way every time, talking the talk and walking the walk, being authentic and true to your personal brand. So I want you to meet Phoenix Sagan, a personal brand graduate of mine and an international travel specialist with her own company called mytravelforever.com. She admits being all over the board in her client acquisition tactics. And at first, she was very unclear in how she would actually position herself in ways that were truly authentic to her unique personal brand. What helped her do this, and thus have a foundation to be consistent with, was to identify and define what her brand style attributes were and values, which guided her with clarity, framing exactly who her best and most favorite clients were. And then to market in ways that truly tapped into her adventure and their adventure, right? Their adventurous, playful spirit and her inquisitive self. So go check out her website and you will feel her brand jump off the page and take you on a journey. And because of her clear and vision and our understanding of her brand's DNA blueprint, she now really has the platform to make decisions that are more in alignment with her personal brand. And so no more guessing, or actually no more chasing the client. Who here is super tired of chasing the client? I know it is. Let's just get super clear so they start coming to you. So I want to expand on this consistency thing a little bit by showing you this really cool phrase that Martin Lindstrom wrote. He's the author of Brand Sense, and he says, I just can't understate how important consistency is. I really want you guys to take a look at, maybe even do a consistency audit. It's so important in your personal brand, and it is actually what helps define our distinction and affirms who we are in the minds of our prospects and customers. Because consistency builds trust, period, flat out. That's it. That's the reason. And trust creates history. History forms traditions. And finally, traditions build or establish rituals. Now, do you want your clients to develop a ritual in using your products and services and even telling their friends? Well, of course we do. And it all starts with trust. It's so simple. And is trust expensive? I don't know. It costs a lot in paying attention, right? That's about it. But take a look at what you're doing and see how consistent you are or not. So the second reason we're not actually getting the clients we want is that we have a tendency to become chameleons in various situations. How many of you find yourself at different networking events or meetings trying to fit in, right? This is an epidemic with solopreneurs. And it is causing you to dilute your brand in so many ways. So how many of you have been told by someone in your life, oh, just be yourself, just be authentic and you'll be fine? Authentic. What does that actually mean? And how can you be authentic if you allow your immediate environment, your external environment, to dictate who you are in the moment? Or if you never have taken the time to take the deep dive and define who you are, to uncover what's in your DNA that is distinction, right? What's different about you? You know it's there. I'm sure you do. So being authentic is really the solution to the lure of being a chameleon. So you don't have to be a chameleon anymore when you know who you are. And it means to be fully present and in the moment with your audience. And your audience is everybody that you're in front of, talking to, your prospects, your clients, your community. And this is all about speaking and acting your truth and staying genuine to your personal brand's DNA. So I want you to meet Dr. Melissa Healy, a recent personal brand graduate and a wellness coach, really positioning herself with very huge credentials and a specific niche expertise that she has in taking her clients through very disruptive behavior changes that transform their ways of being and drastically improves their lives through moderate moves, creating massive momentum. So Melissa really was able to crack her brand DNA style code of collaborative, disruptive, she loves that word, that's kind of her style attribute, expressive, and resourceful. She is now able to leverage the clarity to step more and more into being her authentic personal brand DNA. That is why her clients love her and continue to tell their friends. So now Melissa is speaking on stages and leveraging her time to really build her clientele exponentially and being her own authentic, disruptive self. All because her work on her brand DNA. She cracked that blueprint and she is able to continue to be guided to consistent growth. So this is powerful. It's one sheet, but it's so much more than that. It's really a decision-making sheet to help you discern and grow. So I want you to write in chat the word yes if you've ever realized that you were in a rut, or that feeling of frustration of not being able to distinguish yourself among your competitors or really showcasing your value. Have you heard of the term, we just talked about disruptive, but what if I put it in front of brands? So disruptive brands, I'm sure you've heard that term before. So what does that actually feel like? How do you get out of that rut and get into disruption, right? These are brands like Tesla, Uber, Airbnb, and many, many others that are coming into the market and disrupting the industries. They disrupt our traditional ways of thinking about taxiing or driving cars or having a driverless car. So fascinating. I want you to get in that mode, because the third reason that you're not attracting the right clients yet is that your prospects have heard it all before and are bored with the message and think, this is it, they think they know what you do. The same old, is as soon as you might beginning to tell them what it is that you do, they already have the story. And sometimes, you get shut out before you even get to really present your brand and what your distinction is. So in today's industry, in their ever increasing competition and literally global availability of even what you offer, it is imperative that you become generative with your personal brand DNA. So what the heck does that mean, right? It means regularly stepping into the trajectory of your own brand's actualization by consciously enabling your thinking and being towards opportunities and becoming more of your brand why. So I'm going to give you an example here and meet Katie Sevenitz. She's a SeneGence distributor and certified makeup artist and a personal brand graduate. So now that Katie has actually defined her personal brand style, she is continuously looking for new ways to showcase being adventurous, right? If you see that on the list of her brand style attributes. She loves being adventurous. She's just very energetic and super stylish. So she is instigating powerful conversations with her tribe that exhibit confidence, energy, and her unique stylish approach to the skincare that she actually sells. So she does lots of video, Facebook posts, parties, and events that keep her looking fresh and new in her delivery of her products and services. And you really get to know the person and that personal brand behind it all. So how can you first actualize and second, continue to generate being more and more of you? If you don't know who you are or what your brand actually is, then your brand DNA can't exist, really. You're all over the board. You have no control over it. So your brand DNA itself, the work that you do to flesh this out, is actually the engine that fuels your inspiration and motivation to stay consistent and heighten your confidence levels to be more and more of who you really are while uniquely serving your perfect clients. So now think about how your brand will be more consistent. What can you do this year to stop spinning your wheels and get clarity that will drive your brand value and trust through consistency? How will you be more authentic to help you stay in your own lane and own your value position and distinction? And finally, how will you become more generative and create competitive advantage through disruption and expertise and innovation with your product and service delivery? So you can begin to identify and define your personal brand DNA, like now, literally crack the code so that you can map your actions and behaviors and narrative to it and be consistent and start to build that distinction in the minds of your market. But how can you be more of your brand when you haven't defined your personal brand DNA? This is exactly what workshop Crack Your Brand DNA Code for Competitive Advantage is designed to do. So give me just 60 seconds to explain and we'll wrap this up. So you now know that you are leaving something behind with every interaction that you have with others, and that's a perception, right? It happens every single time. And remember, the question is are you in control of that perception to the extent that you can be with high levels of consciousness? And remember how perception is multisensorial. So it's going to come from so many different directions. So this quote hits the nail on the head. It says, your level of self-development is inextricably related to your level of success. So who here on the call feels like they could benefit from getting clear on their personal brand? So today, my job, I think, was to really get you conscious of who you really are, inspire you to dig deeper to establish your unique competitive position, and grow into your full potential. You know, this world is waiting for you to get super clear on your brand's DNA so that you can prospect and get the clients that you deserve right now, and your clients start choosing you. Okay. So if any of this information rang true for you and you're done with spinning your wheels to make your business all that you want it to be and done with chasing your clients, then maybe it's time to stop marketing for now and start branding and attend the 2-day Crack Your Brand DNA Code for Competitive Advantage. So for the first time in a public venue, I've decided to facilitate a 2-day workshop specifically for you, the solopreneur, to get this missing piece of your business identified and defined to create the blueprint necessary to align yourself to a solid brand, to connect directly to your markets with that clarity and create distinction in the mind of those people that you know are your clients. So if you're ready to finally uncover the missing piece to your business and actually create undeniable distinction, become your authentic self and do the work that you love, build a brand that is actually bankable, foster client loyalty and advocacy, get the clarity and focus and direction that you need to build the trust and long-term relationships, then this workshop's for you. And the special early bird that I have available for you, if you're interested and want to sign up for this September event, is $397 for early birds and $597 after June 30th. The dates are set for September 13th, all day here in Colorado Springs for both days. We actually walk through my entire brand DNA methodology. So for those of you who have been considering my 6-month coaching program, we will be completing the first 2 months of that program in these 2 days. So you will walk out of there with your personal brand DNA blueprint and ways to begin leveraging it. So sign up as an early bird and get the bonus. I'm offering a bonus consult, which is an hour with me after the workshop to begin leveraging your brand DNA right away. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start branding more, right? So that is it for this brand knowledge session. Stop marketing and start branding. And I hope to see you at the Crack Your Brand DNA Code for Competitive Advantage workshop. And remember, your brand is your business. Thanks again for being here and sharing this space with me. I hope you got something great out of it. Thanks so much.